investing in people is just a way to share experiences that we can grow together from.
I feel like we need to surround ourselves with the right people that are going to encourage us. They're going to give us truth when needed and spur us on.
Spend time with them, instilling in them things that will return value for them or for you later.
Getting to see someone grow and then getting to see what they do next is the coolest part of investing in people.
And so I think investing in people is getting to know them and kind of trying to see the world through their lens and through how they're viewing the world, like what are the things that are a burden, and then just walking with.
This is the Life is Beautiful podcast, the podcast where we cover many aspects of life in order to benefit your own. I'm your host, Cassandra Lewis. In January 2023, Civic Science did a survey of 3,416 adults in the U.S. and found that less than 43% socialize with friends in person on a daily or weekly basis. Nearly a fifth said they do so less than monthly, and 16% reported that they rarely ever meet with friends or they never do. On today's episode, we'll be looking into the importance of investing in people. I had the privilege of talking to a couple individuals who have invested in me, in their perspective on the subject. Mrs. Kim Lear is a busy mom of four, a Spanish teacher at First Baptist Christian School, and was my volleyball coach for all of my years of high school. Being a volleyball coach is no easy task. There's a lot of commitment and time that is put into investing in your players, something that was seen so clearly in my volleyball coach. I know that there was so many times that my coach had to sacrifice her time for the team. Sometimes she would stay up late in the night to put in stats or just organizing and planning for the day's practices ahead. So much goes into it. But I look around me in just life in general and I see how so often we are very reluctant to sacrifice our time for another person, unless if that's convenient for us. If we have the time, we'll do it. If it's comfortable for us to serve another person, then it's no biggie, we can do it. But living in this comfort state of being can really hold us back from making a huge difference in the lives of others. Just because living our agenda is easier than actually going out of our way to help another person. This is what Coach Lear had to say about this.
I think there's a lot of danger in making everything about yourself. I desire to live my life modeling after my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and he was not about himself. There were times where he was asked to do something by God, the Father, and he wasn't thrilled about it. He asked, when it came to dying on the cross, he asked and prayed and asked the Lord, let this cup pass from me. If there's another way, Lord, I don't want to do this. And yet not my will, but yours. And so I think there's a danger in focusing solely on yourself. I think I would rather model my life after those who live to serve others. And I think that is what God wants me to do. And it's also something that spreads in a positive way. Other people then begin to serve other people, and this is a little bit of how the love of God is spread around.
There's a danger in making everything about yourself, and yet there is a huge promotion of self-love in our culture today. My parents are probably the people who have invested the most in me in all my years of living. They've taught me how to talk, how to walk, how to read and write, math, how to drive. But not only that, they've been so influential with me in my spiritual life, something that I am forever grateful for. So whenever I have a problem, they are one of the first people to know. And when I have questions, they are the people who I go to a lot of the times for the answers. So when I asked them their perspective on the message of self-love, my mom responded,
I think we already have a lot of love for self. I mean, you hear a lot of people saying love yourself, but a lot of times that's the problem. We love ourselves. And, even somebody that's going through a tough time and it may not look like they love themselves, in a lot of ways they're wanting it to be easy, or they're wanting it to end or stop. And that is a love for self. And so that is a problem already. We love ourselves too much. And so to learn to turn outward and see other people and reach out to other people is the harder thing to do.
This hyper-preservation for self can really hinder our impact we can have on our community. Now, don't get me wrong, you do need to be taking care of yourself, taking showers and eating food, brushing your teeth. Please brush your teeth. And sometimes you need to say no when people ask you certain favors or to meet up or do certain things with you. But I don't think we find most of our affirmation in taking showers and brushing our teeth. A lot of the times we find our affirmation in looking at our phones, looking at how many likes we have on a post, or to see who commented, or to see how many views we have. Screen time can actually be pretty dangerous if that's where we're trying to find our self-love or our affirmation. The problem with this is we get sucked into this comparison game, this unneeded disappointment because we didn't get the attention we wanted from a particular post. I look around me, and as I'm waiting for classes to start or waiting in a doctor's office, and almost every single person is staring down at their phone and not making any social connections with the people around them. Pastor Ryan Adkins and Mrs. Katie Adkins are great mentors in my life, and so happen to be my youth group leaders. They too see the issues with the screen that we spend so much time on.
We're more interconnected now than we've ever been in history.
But we're way more isolated.
But we're way more isolated because our noses are stuck to screens. Even apps that are designed for you just to be yourself in the moment when it tells you to take a picture, yet when that happens, you curate that moment for others. You don't actually just randomly have a picture taken of you and that's what it is. No, you're still trying to curate this image for others to see.
Especially as I've been working with college students who, have maturity with sometimes some of these things, and it helps me stay connected to some of them. So I appreciate using it as a tool, but I mean, that's what it is. It's about how we use it. But then I also notice with some of the students that don't utilize the technology, I actually have a lot more in-person connection with them and actually better connection. And so it's been making me rethink how I go about that in the future. I have two very good connections with two college students right now, and I don't utilize any of that with them. And I'm just thinking, wow, I think our mentoring relationship is a lot better off because we're not relying on any of those tools.
What Mrs. Atkins said really interested me. Yes, social media is a tool. It is great for staying connected with people who are close to you, but the fact that she had closer relationships with the ones who didn't have Instagram because of the face-to-face interactions really supports the theory that maybe we need to spend less time connecting with others on our screen and more time with connecting with others in person. So what if you did decide to put your comfort, yourself, and your screen aside, then to go out and invest in a person? Well, I will warn you, as my dad will say, there are risks.
An investment comes with risk. That's kind of a definition of investment. So you risk wasting your time, you risk getting your feelings hurt, you risk, in extreme situations, you could get involved with someone who's got some mental issues and it could backfire on you with them coming after you physically or just taxing you mentally. So there are risks in any relationship, but I think you weigh the risks with the rewards, and if you're a Christian, you weigh what you've been called to do for Christ, since he weighed the risk and the reward of coming to die for us, and he did that.
And Coach Lear would add to that,
Your feelings can get hurt. People can be not appreciative. And that's kind of a battle with myself sometimes, to just not focus on whatever I would get out of investing in someone. I don't think that way often, but there might be times where you feel underappreciated or something. And that's a great time to remember the reason you're investing in someone is really not about you either. While it's a rewarding process, it may also not be even noted. Investing in others is something that you do because you know you can, and you might not hear back from them a big thank you or anything like that. So that, I think that sometimes your feelings can get hurt or something, but that's worth it.
multiple research shows that when we get out of our way to help somebody else, it actually decreases our feelings of loneliness and can actually improve our physical well-being. I mean, look at Jesus. His whole life was marked by investing in people, and he invested in you to the point that he died for every wrongdoing that you've ever done, so that if you believe in him, then you will be made right and forgiven and will one day spend eternity with him in heaven. So I would encourage you, go out of your way. Go sacrifice your time and invest in somebody who really needs loved on. Because who knows what the difference you'll make in a person's life when you do.
I think if you're looking while you're walking around in your daily life, you're going to see people who have questions, people who are maybe lonely, people who are hurting and they don't say much, and I think it's great to look for people that maybe are overlooked.
Keep your eyes open and your ears open.
Look who's around you. Just eyes open. One of the passages I was studying this week talks about how Jesus, he's walking along the shore and he sees Simon Peter, he sees John, he sees James, he sees these men who are fishing, and he sees them. And then he calls for them to follow him. And just that idea of seeing who's around you, everyone that's in your life right now has been put there by God for some reason. Really, we talk about the spheres of influence a lot. You have influence in the sphere of your family, in the sphere of Lorraine County Community College, in all these different groups and avenues and places that you go. If you're working, you have a sphere of influence with your coworkers, with your bosses. And so the who is around you already. You just gotta have your eyes open to see, and just courage to connect.
Thank you for listening in on the Life is Beautiful podcast. We'll see you next time.